Welcome back for another video. I'm Ehbat, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends, and today I'm pleased to bring you epics-only Shadowkin Faction Wars. I recorded this video on my phone and I'm now doing the voiceover on my laptop. I am still travelling at the moment, but I know that I've got the Shadowkin semi-budget video out there, and many people have commented before about doing this without Ninja, doing it without any legendaries. And I wanted to show that it is doable with epics only. So here we have two 60s, one in Genbo and the other in Taragi. I do think I probably could have done this with only one 60, but unfortunately my Taragi is already a 60 and I don't have the means currently to make a 50 to fill that role. Genbo here could be replaced with any other DPS champion. Sachi would work, Oboro would work. I think Oboro would probably even be better than Genbo, to be honest, for this. But the point is, you can replace any of these champions. Now, I did try doing this without the Reviver, but I needed more DPS to make that work. So I think if you had additional 60s, be it Hatatsu at 60 or Fenshi at 60, it would be doable without a Reviver. But given that I'm running only one DPS champion here, I did need the Reviver to make it work. So just keep that in mind depending on who you have in your roster. So in terms of this particular team, we have Hatatsu there for some kind of sustain through both the leech ability on the A1 and the continuous heal, also bringing the decrease attack, which will help massively against the boss. With Taragi, we have ally protection and a bit of overall team sustain, and an additional form of decrease attack on the boss, so he will be also critical. And with Fenshi, we have a nice bit of TM control and poison, so he'll help quite a lot in terms of managing the boss fight. Obviously would do a lot more work if he were a 60. His actual hits will do very little damage, as he is currently a 50. And we obviously have here Kinagashi, bringing both a revive and a bit of TM control, which will help us out on the boss as well. The team up ability she has is pretty underwhelming, but it's okay. You know, it adds a little bit of TM fill to the overall team, so it does help us cycle our abilities more quickly. But it's a nice to have. It doesn't really matter whether you have it or not. Now, in terms of swaps, there are replacements for most people in this. You can see, in fact, we just lost Genbo there and needed a revive from Kinagashi. The reality is you can clear all these waves without having any losses within this composition if I weren't running a Reviver. But there is a little bit of RNG involved, particularly when you're trying to cycle between waves 1 and 2 and then 2 and 3, attempting to get your skills back off cooldown whilst trying to keep whichever champion is whichever enemy is still alive crowd controlled. Now, there are a couple of key things I found with this. Firstly, I did try and use multiple champions as the tank against the boss, and in all instances, I was struggling to keep them alive long enough to be able to kill the boss. Now, that's partly because I'm not bringing that much DPS. So as I said, if you were to bring more 60s and build more champions to have damage, then you wouldn't have that same issue that I was facing. But equally, I was finding that with Hatatsu being the only form of heal, that 15% continuous heal was not enough to heal up whichever champion I had as the tank for the boss. So what I ended up doing is building Genbo as the tank for the boss, and I put him in lifesteal. Now, between the leech and the lifesteal and the fact that Genbo does deal decent damage, I was able to sustain him more easily during the boss phase than anyone else. Like I said, I still ultimately didn't have enough damage to get this done without the Reviver, because eventually Taragi gets low through the ally protection and doesn't have a way to heal himself. So it's kind of a situation where If you have the Reviver, you can definitely do this extremely budget. If you don't have the Reviver, you will need to build more 60s to get it done, but it is still doable. You do not need any legendaries in Shadowkin to get the job done. You can definitely clear it with epics only. In terms of the ways, I'm sure you've been watching how I approached them. We do have the ability here with Genbo to strip off buffs one at a time. So even when we have bad RNG, as we've actually had an extremely bad set of RNG throughout both the first wave and second wave, Maneater's been able to put his unkillable out on everyone with the block debuffs, which mitigates our ability to crowd control them. And in the first wave, you saw we got the insta kill from Torture Helm, who took out Genbo as well. Furthermore, we've also found ourselves in a situation where Kinagashi is extremely low, and we definitely don't want our Reviver to go into the boss fight with low health. So we need to make sure we're able to cycle back round, let the regen set on Kinagashi plus the continuous heals get her back to full or near full before we enter the boss phase. Furthermore, we don't in this team have any form of block debuffs. Odashi does bring that, and you are able to speed tune your team such that Odashi will always put up the block debuffs ability and be able to mitigate the boss's mechanics. However, again, as I mentioned, I don't have a lot of survivability or a lot of damage in this team. So in this instance, I opted to go for Fenchi to bring a bit more DPS to the boss and also a bit more TM control to the boss. Instead, I will be eating the stun and fear from the boss. I'll use Hitatsu's passive to ensure that I'm able to get the continuous heal up on all my team. And I'll be relying on ally protection to allow me to survive those additional hits that I'll be taking. And then obviously Genbo is going to have to use lifesteal plus leech to heal back up and sustain. So we're nearly through the waves now. It's not been quick. We don't, like I said, we don't have a lot of damage. So it's always going to be slower through the waves when I'm doing these kind of budget showcases. And actually, I'll ask you this now. Are you guys interested in some speedrun content in terms of how I auto stages 21 for each faction and how I've approached getting those as quick as possible? Is that something that would interest you guys? I mean, it's very useful in terms of glyph farming and CVC points. So maybe it's something that people are interested in. Anyway, we're through to the boss. Taragi unfortunately got targeted, got the double hit, and is dead already. So we're at revive number 2 already within this fight. So it's very much going to be a showcase for how strong having a reviver is. Again, if you guys want me to do another Shadowkin showcase without a reviver, please let me know in the comments. It is something I can and would do if it's of interest. I just will have to have a second DPS champion in the mix. So I will probably have to rank up to 60 another champion to replace one of these 5, or probably actually rank up Hitatsu to 60. I think will be the approach I'll take. So here again, we take the double hit, and actually Taragi has again been targeted, which is really unfortunate for us that it's been Taragi both times getting that fear. He has almost no way of healing himself. Our intended champion to be the tank is Genbo, who has the best sustain, and it's proving a bit of a problem that it's consistently being Taragi that's being attacked on by the boss. So in fact, I've opted not to put the ally protection up here. I want to give Taragi a bit of breathing space to try and let that guardian set and the continuous heal top his health up before I put the ally protection back on. Try and get the boss to be targeting Genbo, which really hasn't been so successful in this particular run, but this run was a win. So I wanted to get this video out mostly just to demonstrate that it is possible to beat Shadowkin in a budget form without any legendaries. And I think that will help many people feel confident that they can actually do it. It is a bit of RNG. You do need to put some time, energy, and effort in to make it happen, but it is doable. You can see there the ally protection again, doing the work, helping us survive this boss. Now, in terms of swaps, there are many swaps that could be made here. For instance, Kunoichi, I think, would do a superb job in the ally protection role that Taragi is currently filling for us. Hitatsu is somewhat less replaceable because he's the only one that brings any form of sustain into this team, so he is quite critical. But there are ways that if we didn't have that sustain, we would have to use more regen sets, etc., and we could still get the job done, so he would be replaceable as well. I think having decrease attack is mandatory, so if you don't have any of the decrease attack champions that I'm using here, you might have to use someone like Masamoto. Genbo, as I mentioned, could be replaced by any damage dealer. So onto the builds. Here we have Genbo built in Lifesteal and Resilience. I'm just looking to make him reasonably tanky, but also bring enough damage to carry the team. So we've gone for just under 40k health, as much damage as possible, whilst maintaining a decent speed. I'm not worried about accuracy at all. In terms of the skills, they are all booked, unsurprisingly. And I actually have him here in an HP banner because, like I said, needed to get his survivability up a bit, and that was the best way to do it. In terms of masteries, I've gone down to Helm Smasher, but I haven't finished them. Onto Taragi, we have Perception plus Guardian. Guardian does help quite a lot here, but it's not mandatory. Regen would be fine. I've gone for good, effective HP, decent speed, and enough accuracy. The skills are done. Masteries, I have not set any, so he's completely unmastered. Fenchi in a regen set with Perception, and I went for double refresh to try and get his abilities back more frequently, but I don't think it matters at all. Enough HP to be HP tuned. The skills are done. Enough accuracy to land the debuffs. That's it. Onto Hitatsu. We have Perception plus Speed. Again, more HP to ensure HP tuning, good speed, and enough accuracy to land his debuffs. Could be in a regen set, would probably be better. The skills are done. No mastery set. Kinagashi in a regen set. 200 speed, or just a little bit more than. Again, HP tuned. And the skills, at least where it matters, are booked, which is really the A3. The A2 is also booked, however. In terms of the masteries, none are set. So there we have it. Those are the 5 champions I used in this instance. I did play around with both Burangiri, Adachi, and in fact Umatogi, all as 50s as well. And I was trying to find different compositions that would work. But like I said, my main issue is I didn't have enough damage to get this done without the reviver. So Kinagashi really came in clutch for me. But if you have more 60s and you have more damage, you can do it without the reviver. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.